I'm Keith and welcome to my workshop, and today we're looking at the theme of the natural world. And the natural world for me at the moment has been watching the birds in the trees at the bottom of the garden. So I've decided to do a picture on the theme of birds in trees, and to do that I'm going to be using a technique that we call monoprinting. And we're going to be monoprinting from leaves, so we get the real sort of sense of the natural world. And so I've been out and I've cut down some trees, not from my garden but from the roundabout outside. So I've got some nice green leaves, fresh leaves. I've only just cut them. I made the mistake of cutting some a couple of days before and they've gone all wrinkly. So you really need fresh leaves for this project. I've got my favourite type of leaf, which is a horse chestnut, conker tree. And I like it because of the way it fans out. It actually looks like it's made of 5 individual leaves. So some leaves are like this. This is like 5 individual ones of those. And then there's this leaf here, which is the same sort of shape, but with webbing between the leaves, so you don't see the individual leaves. Right. And to show you the technique that I'm going to use for monoprinting, I think you'll need to come a little bit closer on so you can see the paper and the paint. Right, today we're going to be using a cardboard tube, could be a rolling pin or a bottle, and some spongy material. We're going to be using that for rolling out the printing. We're going to be using a palette, could be a plate, doesn't have to be a palette, for mixing the paint on. And I'm using some green paint. I've got some acrylic paint, and I've also got some gouache paint, because that's 2 types of green colours. We'll be using both. You can mix these paints up, they're both water based. I've got a brush for doing it, it's a stiff brush. I want a soft brush for this project. And then I've got pencils for doing the birds, and I've got green fine liners for detailing the leaves. And it's got an arrangement of different types of leaves. They're very green because they've just been picked. Some of them have got some sort of disease on them, but I'm sure we'll be safe from that. Okay. So to do this, I think I'm going to use these chestnut leaves. I don't need to use those 2 because they're very similar sizes, but I might need to keep one in reserve in case one gets too soaked. Okay, so I'm going to be using these 2 leaves. Right then, for monoprinting, mono means 1, and it's going to be 1 print. So we'll be taking a print from each leaf. We might be able to take 2, depends on how loaded the paint gets on the leaves. Okay, I'm going to show you this example of the leaf. Now the leaves have a structure of veins. Okay, this surface of the leaf is very smooth. That's where the light goes in and is converted into by the tree. If we flip it over, we can see that the veins on the leaf are much more pronounced. That means it's going to be in relief. And what we want to do when we're printing is we want to pick out those elements of the highest points of the relief behind the leaf. Okay, so we can start with this one of these leaves here. And you can see that it's quite pronounced, the ribbon on these. This is why I've chosen these. They're very strongly defined patterns. We've got some paint, we'll give it a good mix. Now we don't want to mix water at all with these because we're going to do a technique called dry brushing. So I'm just going to put a bit of paint on there. And dry brushing is where we don't actually paint the surface, we're just going to very gently brush over it so that it'll just pick up the high points on the leaves. So I'm just gently brushing over it, over the leaf. You can see me doing that. And I'm going across the leaves. You'll have to sort of use your fingers to keep the leaf firm while using that. You can see that the paint is starting to pick up the veins and the ribbon on the leaves. If you do it along those spaces there, you can start to fill in the gaps, which will mean that you won't get such a clearly defined shape. And you've got to be prepared to have paint on your fingers, but that's okay because it is water-based. The gouache can be washed out quite easily and washed out your clothes. Acrylic paint is more difficult to wash out clothes, but you can wash it off your hands very easily. So I've got most of the leaf there. I'm just going to get this little knuckle in there, just so that's a nice reference point. Now I've done it on this surface, which was probably not a good idea because I've left some marks on it, but never mind, we'll be able to work out that. So I'm going to lay it down flat there. The next thing I've got is, it's a bit of, it could be an old bit of cloth or anything like that, it's just a bit of sponging that was used to hold a electronic product in its box. So I'm going to lay it on there, and then I'm gently going to roll over the top of it, and we should get a little print come off like that. Now that's not very clear, so I think the next one I'm going to put a bit more paint on. But what we can do is we can see there's some of the ribbon there, they've got the straight line up there, so I know that that's the shape of the leaf. It's slightly, if you look at it, it's slightly sort of jagged, so I'm going to sketch in the jagged bits of the leaves. Like that. Highlight in there. You can see there on that ribbon I should have put a bit more paint on those surfaces so it would have picked it up much better, like that leaf there, part of the leaf. So I'm going to use the same leaf again, because it'll have a bit more paint on it. So they've got one leaf there. And I'm going to get a bit of scrap paper this time, just so that I don't start messing up too much the original. So, see me again. I'm being a bit more generous with the paint, but again I'm just brushing over very lightly so you can see how it's picking up the ribbon much better than before. So I'm going to look at, so it's fanning out. So if we look at the way that this leaf is composed here, you can see how they fan out from a branch. Okay. So position it there, and there, and again, roll that here. And be careful about rolling it out because I don't really want to crush the leaf, because you don't want to squash it too much. There we go. So again you can see much more of the leaf this time round. But you can see why we need a little fine line. You could use a green pencil, and it doesn't have to be green. That really just starts to define the shape of the leaf. And you can see I'm not being too fussy about it, I'm just getting the overall impression. we've got another leaf which we might want in the background, so let's do the next technique. I'm going to use a slightly different colour. I'm going to try the acrylic. I'm going to put this down in the corner here. I'm going to use my paint pot because it's a smaller leaf. There we go. So you can see that is a nicer colour. Because that's a darker green, I'm going to use a lighter green on the edges. See, with this one, some of the leaves have overlapped. Okay. Right, next bit I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw these in as if they're coming from the same branch. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in a little bird. Put the paint palette out of the way. And get a pencil. This is a 6B pencil. And I've got the sign there, 6B. That means it's a very soft pencil and it will be very good for drawing and shading. So what I'm going to do is as if the bird is hiding behind the leaves. So they've got a body. Bird's bodies are sort of teardrop shaped, like that, with the tail, and their heads are teardrop shaped in that direction there. Okay, I've showed you it here. This is a series of curves because part of this is going to be hidden. So I'm going to do the lower part of the body like that. There's the beak. Done a short beak for a seed eater. And there's the eye. And then we're going to do the wing here. And the tail will disappear in here. Now obviously the wing is folded, so that must mean the bird is perched on something, so I'm going to have to put in the legs. So there's a little tufty bit for the leg there, and then there's the rest of the leg. Now so I'm drawing behind the leaves, so I'm going to draw another branch where the bird might be perched onto, and that's this big branch here, so it's going to go behind. So what I might do is print off another leaf into that space there. So what I can do there is the curve round. That's another opportunity for a leaf off here. Now I've chosen pencils to do the bird because that gives quite a nice textured effect, like feathers. And it will contrast with the leaves. Yeah. Because what I want to do is, as we colour in these areas here, I'm going to do it roughly sparrow shaped colours because we have a lot of sparrows in the garden. Now, so I'm doing the shading in a direction which corresponds to the feathers. So I'm always shading with the pencil in the direction of the shape of the bird. I'm going to get a darker colour to go on the head, so you have a darker patch on the head. Just going to highlight around the eyes, because that always seems to be the case. Notice so I've done the bottom half of the beak slightly shaded. And then we use these colours here. To start to give a sort of feathery effect on it. This colour here. And darker colour for the legs. And I'm going to get a very dark green for this branch here. I'm using the felt pen fine liner so that we get a bit of differentiation between the bird and the leaves. Do a little bit more in here. Get the lighter green because it matches the fill. So you can start detailing as much as you want to on the leaves. I'm not going to do too much because what we want is a decorative effect. Just going to get a little bit of a dark, I think this is a dark purple fine liner. I'm just going to bring out, highlight some of the details of the bird. So you can see how when you use different mediums together, you know, it helps to differentiate different things. So I could put another leaf there, on that part there, and I could have another leaf coming off here, like that. So you can see how you get these sort of fan patterns coming out, and then the leaves are fanning out, so you get a very nice composition starting to develop. With the leaf on the end here, I want it to look as if it's going behind both of these leaves. So what I'm going to do is mask them off to make sure that they don't print over it. So I'm just putting a bit of card in there, and then a bit of paper over, the foam over, and the paint pot. Does two jobs. Yeah. And so I'm going to get parts of the leaf. And again, we're just going to, what's this colour here? green, and I think the sun's just gone in. And I think I might need to do it so that just going to correct a little bit there. There you see. So there are other ways of improvising this design. Yeah, so you get a sense of it in different layers of leaves. So we have a finished drawing here. You can see that it's a set of mono-printed leaves using gouache on the lighter green, and the darker green was acrylic. You can see there's very little difference. And then the little bird was drawn, the sparrow was drawn using coloured pencils, and the leaves are highlighted with a green fine liner, and then I've gently shaded with coloured pencils in the different areas to highlight the leaves and the background, so that it becomes a little bit more differentiated. And I've also cut a piece of paper to suit the composition. So a very simple way of creating a natural environment. If you've got more time, you can put more leaves in and it would look more like a crazy tree.